Yes,
All
it
right,
is.
guys, let's talk about Shador. He fell all the way to the fifth round, but it gets even more exciting. Your own Atlanta Falcons, they got fined $350,000 total. The team $250,000. The defensive coordinator Jeff Aldrich $100,000 because Jeff Aldrich's son was prank calling Shador. It's embarrassing. It's humiliating. But Champ BRF, what I'm seeing nowadays with these NFL executives and coaches, they ain't doing a good job raising their kids. Because you look at Woody Johnson, of all the things you allow your son to evaluate players based off of Madden ratings, and then now this. Don King once said it himself, only in America. I believe, look, Shador Sanders, it's still mind-boggling he fell all the way in the fifth round. Now I get it. Shador Sanders did not handle himself in interviews reportedly the way he should have. You know, Todd McShay's report of him, Brian Dabble was very furious with how the way Shador Sanders did not prepare during the interview. I mean, look, it looks bad for Shador Sanders because, again, this is the reason why you fell in the fifth round. I wouldn't have Shador falling all the way to the fifth round. I would have taken him in the first or the second round. I even made the argument as well as Mel Kiper Jr. And for Mel Kiper Jr., if you watch him on draft day, boy, he was pissed with how the way Shador. Damn, Mel, tell me how you feel. I mean, heck, we need to bring you on the Sports PSP pod. Heck, we need to invite you to the cookout the way you came to Shador Sanders' defense, man. I mean, he literally lost it. But with the Atlanta Falcons, how did this kid was able to get Shador Sanders' number? And what are you thinking? What are you doing? Like, why would you put yourself in that type of embarrassing situation? Now, as a result, you find $350,000.
Mm.
And look, Shador Sanders, it's going to be interesting in that QB room in Cleveland because Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel. Who's the other quarterback that they have?
Kenny Pickett,
Kenny
Joe
Pickett.
Flacco, and
You talk,
that
say his
other
name.
dude.
No nicknames. Say
No,
his
no, no,
name.
no.
No nicknames.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. No, I'm not. No, Deshaun Watson, that other guy. So
Okay.
yeah. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting quarterback room.
Just what
Uh,
the hell is going on with these executives and their kids?
The kids
look,
are entitled. The kids are entitled, bro. They entitled. That's what they're entitled. It's like they don't. I mean, and hey, let me tell you something. Before Champ go, like y'all, yeah, Champ heard that rant that I let off in that pod and grad in that chat. You heard that rant I let off. I mean, these kids are entitled, bro. It's like, come on. I mean, I'm not saying Jeff Ulbrich knew about it, but homeboy had the password that he had the password to whatever it was to get into to get his number. So you ain't gonna sit here and tell me Jeff Ulbrich, even though he might not have known he done that, you ain't gonna sit here and tell me he either he didn't or he hadn't already given him the password or he just knew it. I don't know. Like I feel like the
mm,
fine is I feel like the fine is justified. I don't think 'cause I know some people saying they should have fired him. No,
listen,
because ultimately at the end of the day, his dumb son acted on his own volition. He did that on his own. I mean, I mean, these kids need to be held accountable. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like you gotta know. You gotta tell them to back off because once this story came out, boy, we say BTA. That's what it would have been. Because homeboy's son would have got the business that day. He'd have got the business. Like, bro, do you just realize I'm only getting paid $800,000 this year? I'm giving up an eighth of my salary in fines because of your dumb ass. Like, what are you doing?
These are one of these types of situations. A parent needs to put a foot in their ass on their kids.
Oh man, let me tell y'all something real quick. First of all, let me put my face in this camera, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm freshly shaved. I just got a clean shave. My skin treatment looking good. I just want to look good in front of the camera today. But I'm just going to say this right about now. Look, for everybody who said, well, what about the other guys who got credit called? We understand that. Their parents don't work for the NFL, people. I'm going to say that again. Their parents do not work for the NFL. And for people who are saying, well, it's just a harmless prank. Imagine this. I want you to hold hands. Let me walk you through it. I speak the truth. Let me talk you through it. Imagine this. Imagine that you have interviewed with several companies, just everyday companies, and you're expecting a call from one of these companies, and they're wanting to pay you, let's say, $130,000. And some knucklehead, whether that be friend or foe, calls you acting like that they are that company, and you call that company back and email them the process, and they come to find out somebody pranked you. Wouldn't you be upset? And that's just if you're by yourself. Imagine if you had kids, or if you got that prank call and you put in your 2 weeks notice or something like that. Imagine how you would feel if somebody prank called you about a job that you really, really desired. And you're an everyday person, and it's let's say a $30,000 a year job. Wouldn't you be upset?
You'd be furious.
You be ready to whoop. You be ready to whoop on somebody. You be ready to come to blows. So stop pretending like it's not a big deal. And look, one more thing, and no offense to none of you guys on the panel, real quick, for what I'm about to say, let's stop calling this man a kid. You 21 years old. You 21 years old. You too darn old for crank call. You are 21 years old. What? And then the thing is, had you not taped it, you probably would have got away with it.
That's what I don't understand. Why would you?
I mean, that's
it seems
these
like
young
to me the kid. It seems like the kid wanted clout. He just wanted clout.
It's just like these young kids these days. Bro, look, stop filming and taping every darn thing before you get yourself caught up into something that you don't need to get caught up in. Taking this little device out right here is going to get some of you young men and young women in a lot of trouble if you're not careful. You just cost your father's company and your father an excess of a little bit over $250,000. And that's going to follow your father if he ends up getting fired at the end of the year with Atlanta, depending on how the team does. Because you can best believe they're looking at this as a reason to fire him. But guess what? We're going forward. So you can best believe he's on thin ice as it is. If that defense don't at least have top 15, he's out of there. So you putting your father between a rock and a hard place. You've cost the team money, and you done this, and you 21 years old. You know better than that. And the thing is, the fact of the matter is, a lot of people don't like Shedeur. I understand. But like I said, imagine if a job you're waiting on, an everyday person like myself, like you, PSP. Imagine one of us waiting on a job, $130,000, maybe $200,000. You waiting on them to call, and some knucklehead want to be immature and crank calling. You would be furious. Mad. You would be mad as a hippo with a hernia. So stop pretending like you wouldn't be upset if this was any other everyday person. We understand that all the other players got crank calls. To my understanding, I've done some research. An Alabama student did crank called Isaiah Bond from Texas, University of Texas. So, but the thing is, these young men and young women their parents don't work for the NFL. My mother used to have one of these very, very important jobs before she retired. And you used to have to be very, very careful when you called her job about the stuff you would say on the phone, noise in the background when you were on the phone. So we had to turn the TV down when we called a job. Back then in the 90s, we didn't have a lot of cell phones. So you had to call the job after you walk home, let your parents know you made it in. So you had to be very, very careful. Their job is his father having that job with the Atlanta Falcons and the privacy that you have to protect is equivalent to someone working a parent working at the Pentagon. You have to be careful with that privacy as well. And if one kid gets in trouble, and if your kid gets in trouble for leaking information, that's a reflection back on you. Can you imagine if one of your parents was, say, working at the medical field, you leaked out somebody's personal information? Can you imagine what would happen to you in the real world? Your parents probably would have got fired because you want to be immature. So stop saying it's innocent. It's just an innocent prank. No, you're too damn old. You're 21 years old. When I was 21 years old, last thing I was thinking about was a damn prank call. I was focused on my career, trying to get better myself, not trying to rain on somebody else's parade and then filming it in the process. You young men gonna learn, and it's mostly you young men. I'm not gonna say anything about you young men are gonna learn one day, one of these good old days, that you taking this little idiot box out right here and filming everything ain't the move. It's not the move, especially when you do an immature job just like that. It's uncalled for. What do you get from that? While you sit over there crank calling on somebody, maybe you ought to be in the gym just like Shedeur, trying to better yourself, getting out of your community and doing something. But instead, you just cost your dad and the company a little bit under $500,000 because you're immature. As a 20, you're doing crank calls at 21 years old. Let me say it again. You're doing prank calls at 21 years old. I'm glad I did not know you when I was 21 years old, because I would have had a roasting session out of this world had I caught you doing that. Because we know what you ain't doing, and we'll leave it at that.
What are you doing?
It's embarrassing. I mean, but the thing is, to BR's point, guys, people nowadays are too damn entitled. That's the problem. People are too damn entitled nowadays, and they feel like they can say and do whatever they want and no consequences. Clearly, he had a motive, and that was to get clout, and that was to shame on Shedeur Sanders, because Shedeur Sanders fell all the way to the 5th round and find another reason to hate on him. And look what happened. You ended up costing the company $250,000. Meanwhile, your father $100,000, and he makes what, $800,000 a year?
Yeah, after taxes.
Taxes.
Yeah. In the great words of Dr. Lee from Drumline, in the process of making somebody else look bad, you made yourself look like a jack behind.
It was just humiliating. And hopefully he learns a lesson. But apparently, guys, this is something that's the problem with a lot of these young kids on social media. They just want to get their clout. They just want to get their 15 minutes of fame. And as a result, I'm glad it backfired for the kid. It was humiliating. As for Shedeur Sanders, look, did I like the fact that he fell all the way to the 5th round? No. I think the reason why he fell into the 5th round was because of his attitude, his personality, champ. As you always tell me, everybody in the South saying, everybody ain't lying. So if multiple people have said this thing about you, Shedeur, then there has to be some validity to it. Now, you can change all of that in Cleveland. Now, I don't believe Cleveland, as far as quarterbacks is concerned, because let's just be honest, when you look at quarterbacks in Cleveland, purgatory. But look, you fell all the way into the 5th round. You start your NFL career. There may be a possibility that you're going to start. because Deshaun Watson is out for the rest of the season with the torn Achilles. We don't know about Dylan Gabriel. They just brought in Joe Flacco. I believe Joe Flacco will be the starter because of the experience. So hopefully your time in Cleveland, you make the most out of it by trying to build a rapport with your teammates, trying to develop. Do I think racism? Because I've heard some people on social media say, well, racism was the issue. No. Cam Ward, last time I checked, was black. And he was the number 1 overall pick. So, no, I don't think racism played a role for Shedeur Sanders falling all the way to the 5th round. I still don't understand why New Orleans Saints would draft Tyler Show over Shedeur Sanders. And I still don't understand why Cleveland would take Dylan Gabriel, because you could have taken Shedeur early in the 2nd round, but instead you chose not to. So I wanted to add that one, Champ, because some people have brought up racism with Shedeur Sanders. No, I believe the fact that Shedeur Sanders pissed off a lot of executives and scouts during the interviews. I had no problem with him missing the combine, Champ, because we've seen a lot of other quarterbacks done that. But what's just as important is those interviews, those meetings. And you said it yourself about humility. I'd rather be humble than to be humbled, because eventually this league will eat you. And Shedeur Sanders better be careful, because you don't think people want to get after you. After all, you are the son of Prime. After all, they see you how the way you styling and flossing. So you better be careful.
Yep. Like I said, this is a perfect opportunity. I think this is going to be the best thing that ever happened to Shedeur Sanders. Not just because you fail, but because you have somebody yipping at your heels in the form of Dylan Gabriel. He was a Heisman candidate. He was a Heisman candidate when he was at Oklahoma. So you're going to have somebody yipping at your heels. You're trying to change the culture at a place that hasn't had anything stable since, I'll say stable for a long period of time, I'll say since Bernie Kosar. You're trying to get that done. And you're getting off to a good start. You know, you saw he visited the local gym, visited the youth, and talked to the youth about a lot of things. But you saw that. You saw it. So this is probably going to be the best thing that ever happens to Shedeur Sanders. I mean, you falling to the 5th round, a quarterback like Dylan Gabriel getting drafted over you, who's a hell of a lot shorter than Shedeur Sanders, by the way. You know, he's only like 5'10", 5'11". But this is going to put you into a situation, like I said last week, where you have to do certain stuff. Sometimes it's not that you don't want to do something, but when you're forced to do it, it has more validity to it. Now you're forced to do something. Now you're not guaranteed anything. Now, you know, you're probably going to be a little bit more gung-ho about staying out of the limelight outside of football. You're probably going to be more sure about, you know, you already heard him how he said you're not going to be, when you saw Shiloh ask him about making music, you already saw that he said he's not going to be making any more music anymore. The only thing he want to do is ball. So, like I said, this is probably the best thing that has ever happened to Shedeur, man. And I'm hoping that he is. And look, understand this, Mr. Sanders, you are not going to get a moment of grace. Everybody wants to see you fail. The majority wants to see you fail. And the last thing that you need to do is give them any opportunity to see you fail. The majority want to see you fail. A little bit of everybody. So your job right now is to go out there and make sure that you don't give them any reason. Like I said, you got off to a hell of a start by showing up to Cleveland, going to the gym, getting your workout in, running those hills, going to visit the youth, something that we haven't even seen the cornerstone of that. the cornerstone of that franchise in Deshaun Jackson and Deshaun Watson do, or any of the quarterbacks for that matter. So you're off to a good start. But I will say this. Everybody wants to see you fail. And you're not a first-round pick either. So if you mess up, if they give you the keys to the Corvette and you wreck it one time, they're going to be looking for a reason to get you out of there, because they not only have a first-round pick in 2025 in this loaded draft class that's coming up with Archie Manning, Drew Allard, just to name a few. They also have 2 first-round picks in 2026. So you're not going to get a moment's worth of grace. You're going to have to go in there and do something. And sometimes when you're forced to do something, that's the greatest thing for you, because guess what? I don't have no other choice but to come in here and be my greatest, most disciplined self. And I don't have any problem with the bravado. I don't have any problem with the cockiness, the confidence. I love that. If you're real about it, guess what? You want a quarterback that feels like he could throw a strawberry through a battleship. That's what you want in a quarterback. You need a quarterback that can feel that he can accurately throw a strawberry through a battleship. And I think that's what Shedeur Sanders can do for this franchise, while also changing the culture. He changed the culture at Jackson. He changed the culture at Colorado. But the thing is, these are not friendly waters. You are in shark-infested waters, and the sharks are looking for one drop of blood to tick off the feeding frenzy to eat you alive. You have to go out there with your head on the swivel, not just on the football field, but in the media, in the locker room, off the field. You can't be getting called. Don't let what happened to Johnny Manziel happen to you. Don't get so caught up in being a celebrity that you forget to be a football player. And I think that's what needed to happen in order for him to realize that. Am I for humbling anybody? Absolutely not. But can a lot of good things come out of being humble? Yes, it can. Like I said, you do not want to be a celebrity that's a quarterback. You want to be a quarterback that just so happens to be a celebrity. You see the difference. You see the difference. Tony Romo was a quarterback that just so happened to be a celebrity. Deshaun Watson is a celebrity that just so happened to be a quarterback. There's a huge difference. So make sure that you know you're not going to get a moment's worth of grace. The sharks are going to be on you, and they're ready to eat you alive, every which way but left. Keep your head on the swivel, keep your head down, go out there and give it everything you got. You'll be on that field, and don't slip not one time.
Only good thing about it with him, champ, is that he was drafted in the 5th round. So there's not going to be expectations for him to play at a great all-time level. Just let him be the best version of Shedeur Sanders that he can be on and off the football field. I wish he could have done a better job as far as handling himself with the interviews, champ. If he had done that, he would have easily been a 1st or a 2nd round pick, had not been for the reports about his attitude or personality. That's just my opinion. But I hope for Shedeur, and I hope Shedeur does well. But the father, the son, I swear, man, these young kids. I'm sorry, I keep saying kid, but 21. But yes, I understand he's grown man. But at the same time, champ, young people, they do a lot of dumb shit, and they don't know when to, and they don't realize what's going to happen to them if they keep doing dumb shit.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, there's a great man down here in Columbus that raised me. He even gave me my name that you've seen before, my father. He told me this right there, like this. 30 seconds of foolishness. Just 30 seconds. 30 seconds of foolishness can cost you 30 years in the penitentiary. I'm going to say this again for you young men out here. 30 seconds of foolishness will cost you 30 years in the penitentiary. Whether that be emotional foolishness, whether that be exciting foolishness like what you see, or whether that be stupid foolishness like what you just saw. And the way some of you young men out here conduct yourself, as far as wanting to film everything and put the camera up and trying to get clout, you just gave the police and everybody else the evidence that they need in order to convict you. Because had that young man not filmed it, he probably wouldn't have got caught. But you filmed it, trying to get clout, trying to do this. And so you just caused your father and his organization a little bit under $500,000. So watch your step, because these days it's very, very hard to come back from mistakes. It's very, very hard. So young men, honestly, I'm going to say this one last time, and I want you to listen to my words, because I'm not criticizing you, because every young man, even when I was young, I did knucklehead things. You know, I did knucklehead things too. Not to the extent that I knew I could get in trouble for, but yes, everybody has done knucklehead things. Everybody has had their moments. But when you're making emotional and crazy decisions, and decisions that you know can affect not only your family's pockets, but the people that your family works for pockets, that's a dumb decision. And people are going to remember that during the social media days, because they don't forget anything during the internet. The internet is undefeated. 5 things that are undefeated in this world: God, gravity, the internet, Father Time, and your feet on the ground. Those things are undefeated in this world. So guess what? Don't let one mistake cost you 30 years in the penitentiary. And always remember, not all prisons have bars. Read into that what you will.
Not only that, champ, what he also ruined is an opportunity for himself. Because let's say if he wants to try to get an opportunity in the NFL, that video will always pop up. And they're going to ask themselves, can we trust him? How can we move on from him? Okay, he's 21. He was 21 years old. Yes, champ, you say he's a grown man. But hey, a lot of young people do a lot of dumb, stupid stuff. Can we forgive and move on? So that's the thing he's going to have to address if he wants to have any job or association with the NFL whatsoever. I feel bad for the father, though, because you put your father in a horrible situation. You made him lose his money, and then you embarrassed the company that he works for. So, gotta think. Gotta be mindful.
I'm just thankful that my dad was not his dad. I'm just thankful that my father was not his father, because if that would have, because if I would have did something like that, my dad would have threw me out of a window. I mean, I'm just being real. You just cost me $100,000. My dad would have threw me out of a window. I'm just thankful that that wasn't me that did it, and I was 21. I'm just being real.
Mm-hmm.
Apologize for the noise, fellas. I'm eating some checkers right now. Some good checkers.
They have checkers up there?
Yeah, in Jersey, yes.
Oh wow! I thought that was a southern. A regional thing.
No. They got checkers.
Oh man. Okay.
They got checkers. Yeah. I mean, thank God. I mean, they got Five Guys. They got checkers. They got good food. Who can turn down good chicken and good burgers? Who's gonna turn them down?